Hello, it's Lindsay from the Vintage Button, and I thought for our flip throughs on Monday we would go through the journal I made for last October. And I realised as I was reflecting on last October, I was in not in a similar position. I was in a very different position, but health wise, I was in a similar position. That I got quite ill in October. I finished one job at the end of September. And then I had a COVID injection that made me really ill, because COVID injections do. So I don't know if I'm going to bother with this year's one, because I've had the pain now, so I must have some immunity. And I think it was just, I had finished a really horrible experience of my previous employer, and I think it took a lot out of me. So this year is very different, that my employer is completely different, and I am loving working life and the freedom that this job affords me. But I am really tired and getting over COVID, so I do feel similar in that sense. My house is in a similar state. I remember I spent October, the beginning being ill, and then the rest sort of just like gently tidying up. And we're in a similar, we've had 2 weeks of being ill, so there's washing piled up, and you have that recovery stage. But it's all going to work out. I didn't have a YouTube channel this time last year, or thinking about opening an Etsy shop, so there are lots of differences. It's just that sort of actual physicality, how I feel physically. So all that to say, that was a very long waffle, for this is October from last year's junk journal, and I think it might have some ideas. I think it's got some bloopers in it, but I think it's got some ideas. So the blooper is the first page. I did the ye old do the first page first thing, which I don't know why I did it in this journal, because I generally don't do it unless I'm doing a challenge one. But then I'll only do certain elements of it and then go back to it to decorate it properly. So that's my weakest page, I think, of the entire journal, and it's just a printable spider that I think is from a Graphics Fairy. And this is from a magazine, and it's just a title of October's Endings and Beginnings. So I've got some of these. I've done several of these. This is just a book page from, I think, Paradise Lost, to make little postcards, and they're throughout the journal because it is kind of loosely Halloween themed. It's very painterly. I kind of tried a few new things. Did a few new things. That's just from a magazine that's been layered up on book page to make that kind of a sturdy element, to make that tuck spot. I don't do many tuck spots, perhaps I should do more. There are little elements like this, little kind of flappy pages. I remember putting those intentionally, because I did the yellow one that I think we've done a flip through from, that had all the flippy flaps, and I liked that, so I intentionally put some in. There's not many of them into this journal. It only has 2 signatures, and it's made from cereal packet. It's not made from a book. Cereal packet, an old dress, bits of old books. It's it's a true junk journal. I mean, I kind of really only make true junk journals, really. I do use printables, but it's not the entire basis for journal. And somebody started hammering, even though it's like 6 o'clock in the evening. And it started to rain. But that's okay, because the washing's been brought in, because I was like, oh no, there's washing out. There we go, bit of domestic life for you. Tuxedo spot, pocket. Still got snot in the brain. I am clear, technically clear. It's just sort of the residual, I think. So there we go, little tuxedo pocket. Oh, this is a nice page. So it's kind of got a painterly background. There's just watercolour paint sloshed around. And then these elements are not printables. They're actually from an advertisement for Lavinia stamps in a craft magazine. And then we've got some white marker, doing the kind of the star thing, which I haven't ruined it, but I've just added one on. And some black paint, black marker to do the swirly bits and the twiddly bits here. I like how this was a book that was all about gardening, so I get lots of gardening books in the free libraries that are like, they've got lots of chemicals and, you know, not great practices, and they're usually at the bottom and nobody wants them. So I pick them up because they're great bases for books. So that said ditches, and I just found a W and created witches. Strong, independent women were often called witches in olden times. So kind of got more of these little postcardy bits. I've made that. So I found a book that when we were on our holidays, actually, and it's like a lace making book. It was in a National Trust property. You know, you could get second-hand books in National Trust properties. There's this lace making book. I thought, oh, how creepy, because like it was all black and white photographs, and I thought it was really good. So this says Mrs. Baskerville, which I thought was very Halloweeny, and it is actually a genuine Victorian letter, and there's some more of that as we go through, and a raven, bit of old masterboard, another one of the postcards, and some journaling writing. So I do journal sometimes. I used to journal a lot when I was younger, in my 20s, and I think it was something that I overused, so I don't tend to journal that much now. But yeah, some more postcards that I just made, and I'd sort of like, I've gone over with a gold mark, like gel pen, so it's kind of got a sheen to it. I don't know if that'll come up on the camera. I like the painterliness. It seems very free the way I was with the paint. I think these are printable bits. That's a bit from a magazine. I don't know where that's from. Ah, so this is why I was tired. Have I just shown something there? No, it's my journaling actually. I was just about getting away from this job. So I'll give you an idea. I'm not going to name the company. I've covered it up. But I used to work in private social care as an activities coordinator in an old people's home, and I got it during the pandemic. It was the only kind of job I could get from what I used to do. It was really underpaid. It was like the worst pay I've ever had, but I loved it. I actually really loved being there, and I stayed there way too long, really. And it got to a point where this care company didn't care, only cared about money. And they would have you do things because you had to do things, but they wouldn't really give you the resources to do it. And an example of that was I needed a laptop to do a lot of my work so that things were presentable and printed out well and designed well and looked good, because that's what it was all about, looking good. But they never gave me a laptop until 2 months before I left. Yeah. And one of those months I handed my notice in. So, and then they gave every other lad, and I'd been on at them, emailing people, asking people, and it, you know, like, how can I do all of these things when I don't have a laptop? Because I would borrow one of the laptops, I would put it in my office, I'd have to go to do an activity, I'd come back, and it would have gone, somebody else would have taken it because they needed it. And so I took my own laptop in. I never put anything confidential. There's no data breach involved in this. But I used to make the resources, like physically make resources instead of spending hundreds of pounds on resources. I used to make things. And you have to design those things on a computer. And I used to do posters and other kinds of stuff on my laptop. And I put this label on it because one day I went in there and it had gone missing. And there was somebody sort of stabbing at this computer, wondering why they couldn't sign on. And it's because, well, it's not yours to sign on. It's mine from home. So, yeah. Bad. You should never make money out of people's need. It's just, yeah. I'll put that there. That kind of reminds me that I'm well out of it. And never to return to the private sector again. I don't think I ever, after that experience... I don't think I'll ever return to social care because it's never been an ambition. But yeah, I don't think I'll ever return to the private sector again. Not unless I can really help it anyway. But there you go. You never know. Never say never, I guess. So yeah. That's kind of sharing without sharing. Because I'm not saying where it is or anything. I don't know. Boundaries are a funny thing about how much boundaries. So there we go. So this is from a napkin. And I think I'm saying that because it kind of shows you that you can journal in these things. They can be useful, they can be beautiful and artistic, but you can still pour whatever's going on in you out and use it as a mechanism for your mental health, because that's basically what this obviously was for me. Excuse me, last October. So that's the pretty. This is a reef. I think we've been using these. Actually, they are, that reminds me, the front of, can I reach for it? The advent calendar. That's still not quite finished. I have been working on the other ones today. But if you want to win this or buy one of these, let me get one of these that are nearly finished. They just need the numbers put on because all the presents are in, all of them now. So this has not been quite glued in properly. I think you were the last one to glue stuff in. Yep. There we go. So there'll be 20 odd presents. Oh, there is some glue on it. 25 presents. They'll be available on Etsy, and when they're all properly done with their labels on, I will do a video and a tour of them. There you go. If you want to win a little one which will have the same type of stuff in it, just subscribe, like and comment on the video. Every time you like and comment on a video after that will be classed as an entry. Yeah, there we go. I think this might be the worst video I've ever made, but there we are. I'm a bit tired and still a bit run down. Oh, I like this. This is a fabric sample, which is good, just stuck down and cut. I think I used it to make honeycomb in another journal. Little cat. Another flippy flappy. This is a butterfly from a magazine. Another element from a magazine. Got another magazine element. Got a printable. This is from that lace book. And then we've got some Victorian letter. Some more Victorian letter with a printable raven. I quite like that. I like how, like, you know, there's ink splotches and stuff, and you know, like it's all a bit old and torn. Oh, sweet owls. I like this. This is just 3 paper envelopes. They've been made out of book pages, sort of staggered. I like doing things like that. I've forgotten about that kind of way of doing it. Autumn days. It's not as spooky. I don't think any of it's really spooky. So some more of that Lavinia stamps, just sort of fussy cut or fussy torn. This is napkin. And then like the stamped elements, a magazine butterfly. This, I remember cutting these up. That's actually a picture of a cheesecake from Aldi. You know, you get those coupons and special deal magazines from supermarkets. Have a look and see if there's just like cute elements that you can cut out and use in your journals, because you never know. So I'm kind of getting better talking about my pages and how I'm doing my pages. That's some printable. That's a napkin and some book page. Another printable, some napkin. And I think the two blend quite well. I do have some books with fungi in. I need to get them out. So that bit is from a magazine from Aldi. I know that, I remember, because that's why I got the magazine. I was like, oh, I quite like that moon. I think I got 2 because I think I've used it again, the moon. This is a Lavinia stamp. This is an old receipt that I just kept, you know, like one day I just sat playing with paint, making the paint run down and then drying it, making more paint run down. And it's just got torn up and used. This is an old bit of masterboard. I think it's actually the first masterboard I made in this house. And I used to have it on my pinboard thing, and I just took it down one day and had a play. See, we've got a cat. That's probably from a supermarket magazine. At least the cat is talking to me this month. And the cat has spent all day with me. The cat is my friend. He's a rescue cat. He's a bit funny. Toadstools. I think that's a bit of printable. That's this lace. Bit from a magazine stuck onto masterboard. Book page envelope. Oh no, it's a printable envelope. It's a Drunk Graphics Fairy envelope. Kind of tipped in. Quite like that. Monster book for girls. This is an actual book spine of a book that's fallen apart. You can see there. That's quite cool. So I think yeah, it was definitely a mistake to do that first page first, because I think it's developed as we've gone on. It's amazing when I compare this to even stuff I'm doing today that things are different, but I can see where I get ideas for things. That's why I actually think these flip throughs are valuable for me. You know, like kind of I quite like doing them. There we go. So this new job is night and day different from old. The right beginning. Moves. More, can't read my own writing, but not as creative. Yeah, the previous job was very creative. I was like creative every day. I had to make, because I had to make these resources and do things on a absolute, well, I didn't have any money. Yeah. And my job now is not creative at all in that sense. It's very admin focused. It's very person centered and active listening, and it's very different. But what that does do is I'm not expending my creative energy on anything other than what I want to spend my creative energy on. And it's the first time I've not had a creative job, and I was worried about it at first, and now a year into it I recognise that it's left me more energy, and that's why I can do this. That's why I can even contemplate doing things that have just been distant dreams, because I have more energy to do these things, because I've not spent that energy on other things. Not that I think it was wasted, not at all. The residents are beautiful, beautiful people and are worth everything. So this is my last page, and it's full moon. This is again from that thing on Aldi. You look at the whole page. Perhaps I will get some next time we go to Aldi, because we've been doing Tesco delivery shopping, like drop-offs. But next time we go to Aldi, I'll grab some of the leaflets, because they'll have Halloweeny stuff, and we'll take one apart, because I bet everybody everywhere has these kinds of leaflets. And you never know. You never know. So that's the moon from that leaflet. Another one of those receipts that's like been painterlied up. And this is an owl from a Lavinia Stamps advertisement. I just kind of keep them. I think the full moon must be, it's got a similar background, or it might be from something else, onto a stamped label. And this is a bit of the lace, and the lace as well. And that's it. So it's a cute little book. I really enjoyed making this. It was really cathartic for me, and yeah, it was that time where I managed to, in September, October and most of November, I think I might finish the November one off. The November one's really nice. It's got flower fairies and more developing my style, really. And it, like I said, it is really interesting how I can see my style developing by reflecting and looking back at these books. Otherwise I wouldn't look at them. On occasion, like I said, I would look at them having my breakfast sometimes, but I wouldn't be thinking and reflecting through. I'd just be flicking through it. But having to pass comment on it has made me more reflective. I think that's what I'm saying. So yeah, so it's just a 3-hole stitch on this cord. And I've still got loads of this material left. Yeah, we will make a journal. We will make one out of a cardboard box, just in case people haven't. Because I find that books are really good, like the old books, but you always end up with more pages than book covers, if you know what I mean. Because you don't use, you know, a book might have 400 pages. To remake that journal, you wouldn't put 400 pages back in. You might actually only put 20 of those pages back in, and then it gets filled up with other stuff. So you end up with more book page. And I like to use the book page. I use it for lots of things, but I like to make physical books with them. So if I can make books by using, you know, recycling rubbish, trash, and, you know, recycling an old dress to make something that I think looks okay, was certainly a joy, certainly something that brought peace doing it. Yeah, it kind of calmed that internal chatter. So with that internal chatter, external chatter, slight boundary breaking chatter, this was my October journal for last year. This will be my October journal for this year. I don't know why I'm tying it, because I'm going to undo it. I made it the other day, so you can go and have a look. I'm working out playlists so that, you know, that there's one where I've made journals, there's one where it's flip throughs. But this is from a paper bag, and it doesn't matter the size. Well, it kind of does. You can't. The smaller the bag, the smaller the journal. But like, I've made bigger pages because the bag's been bigger in the first place. And really, it's the base of the bag determines the footprint of the journal, how big the journal is. So let me find. So that's the beginning of the base, and then that'll be on the other side. Where's the other side? Here. Is it? No, it can't be. I don't know. I know that's one bit of the base. Yes, and then that's the other bit of the base. And that sort of determines the footprint of the journal. But it's quite a clever way of doing it. And it's quite simple. I've seen everybody started making zines again, and I have a stack of zines. The next journal I think next week we'll look at might be a zine. And I've made a stack of them to go to craft fairs that never went. So they will go on the Etsy shop actually. Out of these 1960s maps, because I've got masses of them. I rescued them from a barn. I'm sure I've told that origin story before. This is just like a third of one. They're really huge, and I've made some zines out of those. And actually sewn signatures in within it. When I show you it, you'll see. Yeah, that's a bit clever, that, even if I do say so myself. But I will do that one back up. So I'm thinking it's not going to be quite the same, but there might be similar vibes. I don't have like all the Lavinia stamp stuff. I will go to the Aldi and see what I can get, and we'll incorporate that into it. And I do have an autumn magazine clippings box, so I'll get that out and we'll see how the two compare. So there we go. I hope you will join me as I start to journal in this one, and keep joining me as you go. Drop a comment in the comment section. It's always good to hear from somebody. Tell me something you've enjoyed about it. Tell me something you would have done differently. Yeah, conversation's good. I will see you tomorrow. Bye bye.